Alright guys, welcome to the last part of editing a podcast video, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I add the titles and how I make the final product that looks awesome for YouTube. Now it's going to be different, your settings, depending on whether you want to put it on a DVD or YouTube, but since I love YouTube, I might as well show you guys how to do that. So the very first thing I like to do is this. Let me go ahead and zoom into the beginning and start playing. Okay, that video looks pretty cool, but at the beginning, I mean, it's kind of bland. I just don't want people to start playing my YouTube videos without, getting some logo promotion out there. So I'm going to go ahead and take this clip right here, which is pretty much an image, and use that as my introduction. So go ahead and drag that on video 3 because, we really don't want to mess with video 2 right now. And now let's go ahead and play this. So by default, pictures play for 5 seconds and then they stop. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that out in the program monitor again. It just plays and then it cuts to the video. Not that interesting. So what I want to do is I actually want this to fade in and fade out. So go ahead in the effect controls. We're going to mess with the opacity of this title. So go ahead and expand opacity, and again, make sure you have your title selected. If you have something else selected, it's going to change the opacity of that. So you definitely don't want to do that. So I'll do the fade in for about a second and a half. So about a second and a half in, I'm going to change it to 100%. Then at 0, 0, 0, I'm going to change it to 0. So between 0 and a second and a half, it's going to fade in just like that. And now for the last second, I'm going to go ahead and change this to 100% and have it fade out to 0. So now whenever I play it, the title fades in, stays at 100, and then it fades out to 0. So now that I'm looking at it, I kind of like how it fades into the video, just like that. But whenever the title's fading in, it's kind of weird seeing that background video for kind of, a second and a half. I wish that it kind of faded in from black. So we have a couple options of doing that. Again, what I'm trying to say is I really don't like how it fades in and you see us in the background, but I do like when the title fades out that it goes into the video. So we need to change this beginning section right here where you can see the title and us. So again, like I said, we have a couple options. What we can do first is we can go to this video, and for the opacity we can change this to 100, and right before we can change it to 0. So if we go ahead and we hide this title, what happens is the video is black and then it suddenly pops up to 100, or there is a better method. We can go ahead and let me go ahead and delete these keyframes. So our video is normal, there aren't any keyframes on this. What we can do is add something called a black video. And a black video is exactly that. It's a video of no sound, just plain black screen. So in order to get one of those, you can either create a black picture like in Photoshop or something and import it, or hit new item, black video. And it's going to say pretty much, do you want a black video? And we're going to say, yeah, of course we want a black video. That's what we just told you. So go ahead and drag this out on the second one, on the second track right there. And now, check it out, whenever we fade in, it now fades in from black. Instead of having us in the background, we now fade in from black, gives us a much more professional look. However, I said I only want to fade in that way, I don't want to fade out that way. Whenever I fade out, I do want to fade into us talking. So what I can do is just go ahead and take that black video and move it so it stops halfway through. So now when we're fading in, we have the black video behind it. So check it out in my program. As we're fading in, we fade in from black, and then when it's at 100, it fades back in to the video. So that's how I do my podcast, if you're wondering about that little trick. Any of my recent podcasts you can check out, and yes, that is how I do my awesome introductions. And now to end my podcast, here's what I do. It's a lot more simple. I just go ahead and drag that title out there, and now let me go ahead and zoom in to the end. Again, you want to make sure that it snaps to the ending point so your video and your title is synced up with the end. Now again, all I need to do is, since we don't need a black background for this, I'm going to go ahead and select my title, and for the opacity of this, about, I don't know, I want to say a second in or so, hit 100 and then make it fade in from 0. So it goes from 0 to 100 just like that. And now let me go ahead and play like the last 10 seconds. See that? And now you don't need a black background behind that because this is totally opaque. So that is why sometimes whenever you have a buffer in between, like a video, you want to add that black video, and sometimes you don't. So that's how I fade in and fade out my introductions on the podcast. So if you want to use that technique, you can. If you have an alternative technique, feel free to use that too. So you're saying, alright, I watched this video over and over again, probably the best video ever recorded and ever made on YouTube. So now how do I get the finished product? If I go ahead and hit File and Save, that's just going to go ahead and save this entire project. I want a final video. Well, here's what you need to do. Go ahead and hit File, Export Media. And this is pretty much saying, alright, how do you want to save your video? Do you want to save it as a flash file, as a move.avi? The best format for YouTube is this, F4V, and it's this, 1280 by 720, and at your highest settings you can. So it's going to be 1280 by 720. Any video that you have that's 16 by 9 is going to fit awesomely in YouTube Player. And of course, the bitrate is pretty much how much quality is it on your video. So you want that as high as possible. But anyways, there's a preset on F4V that's 1280 by 720 with a 4500 bitrate, and that's going to give you awesome quality. So now you just go ahead and hit export, and that's going to go ahead and take this final video and turn it into a video that you can load to YouTube, because right now you can't just go ahead and load this project onto YouTube because this is an Adobe project. It's not like a final video. So that's why you need to export it into a final video. So again, there's a lot of weird settings in this export that we can go over, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I just want to give you guys a real quick and dirty way to do things. So that's what you choose. And again, if you want to name it something different, go ahead and output name. You can name it whatever you want here. So that is how you're going to do that. I'm not going to go ahead and export it because it takes like 2 minutes to process, and I really don't have time to sit here and talk about nothing for 2 minutes. So for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.